for some big-time growth, and it will show true if they continue to notch wins against traditionally top teams in the LCS.
Absolutely true. Dignitas with a full week to practice up with this lineup for sure. Team Impulse, again, you talked about them looking a bit shaky here, figuring out what else they would actually grow as. Rumble, Nidalee so far banned away from Impulse. The Sivir dropped away from Apollo. No big surprise there. I'm glad teams after about 5 games in a row have realized that's probably a champion you should remove from him.
Yeah. No Rise for Gamsu. Be interesting to see if we see an Echo ban.
Yeah.
It's something that TIP banned against, or had banned against them when they were playing Team Liquid. It might be something that Xiao wants to get his hands on. He likes those assassin-type champions in the mid lane, so it's left out of the ban phase. But so is Alistar.
This is interesting, yeah. So Alistar being left through as the easy first pick. It does mean Impulse have slightly pinched the aggro junglers. The Gragas ban, Rek'Sai is up. It's actually all Helios has played so far. And so Rush being able to steal it away might be useful here. You mentioned Echo as well. I mean, those, in my mind, would be the first 2 that I pick here as Team Impulse. We are on 5-11 this time around, so slight changes to Echo. His, I believe, mana cost on W went up.
Yep. Very minor changes. Some visibility things on his spells as well. But these 2 picks do seem like the most logical choices. The Echo and the Rek'Sai, both some early pressure for Rush. They have been banning away Rek'Sai, so Rush can play Lee Sin in some of their games. But with Rek'Sai up, it doesn't leave much opportunity for Rush to play the Lee Sin.
Yeah, they should consider. Exactly. Removing a Kalista from Core JJ, removing the Rise, which many teams would be happy to first pick. We did see Rise go through unpicked a couple times in the EU LCS. A couple days ago, I believe there were 2 unseen and champ select Rise games, right. So maybe that champion becoming less valuable for certain teams. Either way, though, Impulse do pick up the Echo and the Rek'Sai, and we'll have to see where the Echo actually goes.
Right, we've seen Huni play it to much success in the top lane. He's been the main person that's actually found success with top lane Echo. Most people have either been jungle tank or mid lane assassin. This one is, in my opinion, going to go mid lane assassin.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it fits Xiao's style. I tend to agree with you here on this one, Jap. But meanwhile, Team Dignitas happy to grab as many champions as they can really quickly, actually. Very little hesitation on the blue side here. The top lane Hecarim is in. He had small changes in 5-11 as well. Seems to still be fine. Meanwhile, the core key for Core JJ.
Yeah. To talk about the Hecarim changes a little bit, the main impact it'll have on the competitive scene is just when he home guard teleports in, he won't be quite as fast or do quite as much damage when he connects with you. So it's a nerfed aspect in one of the most powerful parts of his kit, but the rest of Hecarim will still be that horse.
Exactly, and him chasing down onto squishies is still going to be a very good thing for him and the rest of his team. Dignitas so far not showing their jungler or mid lane most likely. Team Impulse now to round out most of their lineup here. Looks like they're going to continue to have that Echo be a flex pick, though they know the enemy top laner. They're going to leave the final pick for last. So Janna Graves the bot lane here for Impulse. A bit of a throwback here. Apollo played a ton of that in spring.
Yep, it's good follow-up damage or front-loaded damage when everyone else is going in. The collateral damage from Graves still able to contribute to a fight, even if he's late to the fight, which does end up happening for Team Impulse with the style they play.
Ooh.
The Kalista they played last week, of course, since it's banned. Whoa!
Oh! So Helios doesn't get his Rek'Sai, so he plays Xin Zhao instead, most likely in the jungle. Twisted Fate in for Shifter as well. I mean, the gank pressure here is stupid good. There's so much crowd control here on this Team Dignitas lineup.
Yeah, this is the first Xin Zhao we've seen in the NLCS, I'd say, in probably about a year, maybe longer. I'm excited for this. So I wonder if Helios is going to be going Cinderhulk into Black Cleaver, because those seem like the 2 big-time items on Xin Zhao, and we thought maybe he would see a resurgence when the Black Cleaver shipped as a new item. It just synergizes so well with the armor penetration on his kit, the cooldown reduction, chain knockups, chain slow, and actually a little bit of viability in the late game, which was previously a big weakness of Xin Zhao, who does have early game pressure. It'll be very fun to watch Helios versus Rush in the early game, as that is actually kind of the strength of Xin Zhao against Rek'Sai. That's a fascinating matchup now. Wouldn't this be something? Varus mid, Echo top, Graves 80 carry.
That's going to be the likely situation, yeah.
So a double AD but they're keeping the enemy honest because of assassination threat in the top lane. This is my favorite version of double AD, is instead of having a tank top lane or something, you have legitimate kill threat on an ability power champion like the Echo, which forces people into that magic resist itemization. So a well-crafted team comp, I think, from Team Impulse. We'll have to see how the wave clear and the lack of a true tank pay into that. But if they snowball ahead, as they often like to do, that's when that type of team composition can work.
All right, so the Team Impulse snowball could be very interesting. Of course, keep in mind, Team Dignitas still have 4 different champions who are good at hard engage, with the Alistar, the Hecarim, the Twisted Fate, the Xin Zhao, and even Corki can help at least. So scary things afoot, but Team Impulse happy to pick right into that with a bunch of backline squishies. Kind of a tank with Rush playing Rek'Sai here. And we're going to start out week 4 of the North American LCS with Team Dignitas sitting at 4-2, with Team Impulse sitting at 3-3. Coach handshakes come out.
Yeah, and I love these coach handshakes right here because these, to me, feel like more unique team compositions than we've seen in a while in the North American LCS. Things have felt relatively stagnated, but these ones feel pretty unique.
It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. Either way, head over to Twitter and share your thoughts on this match. Tweet at LOL Esports with either hashtag DIGwin or hashtag TIPwin. We'll count up your votes in just a few minutes, guys. Getting ourselves into the match here. 4-2 versus 3-3. The ability to challenge the very top of the standings for both of these teams.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great game. Like, just the Twisted Fate combined with the Xin Zhao jungle, not to mention the Echo top lane from Impact, who, even though he feels like a consistent top laner, many of the people who play against him say he takes a lot of early game risks going against another top laner who doesn't even have a flash. I mean, there is a lot of opportunity for some early fireworks in this one.
Well, fireworks we're going to have almost certainly. If only he played the festive Corki skin. Didn't even use them on his abilities. Sadly, it's not. That's okay. We can watch the early invade paths, and
but we'll have to settle for
the support spot each other.
Skin.
I know. Unfortunately, Ice Toboggan, which basically no one has. Gamsu. You know, Jinx can actually kill a ward by herself by just sitting there with her Q on.
If you're in minigun form.
Yeah. You start that way, so you just got to learn it. Fortunately, Gamsu not enough attack speed to clear that one away. Smite Ignite versus, sorry, not Smite Ignite. Ignite TP versus Flash TP, as you mentioned before, the top lane matchups. Impulse will be looking at standard lanes here with Impact leashing for Rush. Looks like the similar situation for Team Dignitas, though their jungler will be starting on the bottom side with Gamsu at Razorbeaks.
Yeah, and there will be a little bit of an... I always like tracking the jungler arms races right here, especially for two junglers that shouldn't need to match an early game pressure. This is also interesting in the fact that Rush has kind of been the king of early game aggression when it's successful, but oftentimes that backfires. Helios as well has played a much more subdued early game jungle role, as we noticed, you know, only having 1 kill or assist combined in the 2 games within the first 15 minutes of his matches. But now in Xin Zhao, you can't really imagine a successful Xin Zhao game that doesn't get a kill or assist before 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'd expect much more aggression from Helios. Hyped up CSing right now.
Cards flying everywhere, corrupted arrows killing minions. I don't know if people are cheering for the death of these poor helpless minions. They're just following orders, guys.
Picking up right where they left off in the hallway right here. The little tiny shots that really have no real effect. Okay, so the jungle starts were in fact the Gamsu took Wolves, Impact took Razorbeaks. They TP into their lanes. Flask on one side, Doran's Ring and Potion the other. Rush will be able to safely clear 2 camps by himself. And then Helios makes his way over to the other side. So Helios got help with the Krugs to keep himself healthy early on in the jungle. Therefore, he's much higher health than Rush is right now. Rush is tracking through his jungle low. This is an early ghost because they're going before Impulse has their wards, and they're trying to catch them in a power spike here. Let's go. They get it before 3 minutes. The stun into Apollo, but he's able to dash away and use Flash and stay alive. Oh. Goes for Flash and a lot of time lost in the mid lane. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is the time investment more than anything else. Yes, they got the Flash out of Apollo. Now the minions are doing a little scouting job for them on the way back. Rush's blue buff is safe. Everything about that actually puts Team Dignitas in the hole right now, and they're missing the CS anyways. Oh man, Kiwi Kid's not going to get anything here. 4JJ forced a Valkyrie out from some damage. You saw on the backside of this one. So yeah, I don't know about that move. It's a cute idea. You talked about Xin Zhao, great early pressure, but
That's one of the safer lanes you could ever possibly gank.
Yeah, I mean, and one Howling Gale from Adrian completely shuts that gank down. Basically, Kiwi Kid, if they want that gank to be successful, needed to be the one to start it. He would have needed to flash Pulverize Apollo, hit him back to make a flash and inescapable gank. The theory of sending TF Xin Zhao into an Alistar lane for a gank is sound, but the execution failed.
No, unfortunate there. Helios still, without grabbing his blue buff, is walking to the top lane already. Impact fighting Gamsu and getting good early damage. So far, this lane looks very good for the Echo player. Helios coming in to upset that, but they can't just dive the turret here, I don't think.
Yeah, Helios definitely trying to force some early ganks, but I question the positioning of these ganks. They are going to try and bait this one in a little bit because Impact had been aggressive in the lane in the past. He's not necessarily going to expect a top lane gank after a bottom lane gank just failed. Helios taking a big gamble here. This almost needs to pay off in a kill.
And Rek'Sai is not close at all, so when is the push going to come in towards Impact? He's basically on top of him.
He's hoping that he uses his E in, and then Helios is trying to jump on him, because if he jumps on him now, an E backwards and a flash will mean immediate safety. They need Impact to engage first before Helios goes in.
Well, maybe for the cannon minion, Gamsu already going for the trade. Q gets popped, a lot of damage dealt, but Impact has movement speed buffs. It's going to be the easiest dash away ever.
Notice the safe way Impact was trading as well. He kept his phase dive, the Echo E, the entire time, never using that for the damage and instead saving it for an escape.
Meanwhile, this one, shifting for to save his flash for an escape, doesn't have the tools to get away as cleanly. And the early gank pressure, actually, I would say, much more efficient for Rush here. A lot of time wasted by Helios, still on level 3, 10 CS. Before he had Rush back and buy items and just farm more.
Yeah, it's the typical way to punish an overzealous jungle whose ganks don't work out early. Spends a lot of time in lanes. All you have to do once you know the opponent fails a gank, if you weren't planning a gank of your own, know where he is on the map, go take the jungle that he was going to take afterwards, and you almost guarantee yourself a near 1 level advantage and significant gold edge. That's actually not just been one gank that Rush has been able to punish, but now 2. So it's just checking the gold really quick. 400 already, which is basically the value of First Blood.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely amazing. Impulse sitting 1,000 gold ahead from just farm. Mid lane is winning, top lane is winning, bottom lane is winning. You talked about the junglers as well, so massive early game lead for Impulse just from individual skill, mechanics, and decision making. Not even the team fights yet.
Well, surprisingly, it's because Impulse has been playing the lanes defensively.
Yeah.
They've been respecting the ganks of the Xin Zhao, and Helios has been going for the ganks that were somewhat anticipated. Impulse has been always saving all of their dash abilities to escape ganks. They're just farming safely, and almost all of their CS advantages can be somewhat attributed to that, outside of this bottom lane where they're just kind of straight up winning. Mid lane is because Shifter went down early. The top lane gank, Gamsu was trying to prep the gank a little bit, baiting in for Impact, but then when the gank was escaped, paid the price of the bait. And that's the things that are resulting in this 1,000 gold differential.
Absolutely. So Impulse just sitting pretty with the laning phase staying as it is. Of course, with matched up lanes, we don't often see any kind of aggression that's not just a jungle gank in the early game. It's hard to force dragons and whatnot without a really good fight. Apollo getting poked around quite low. Kiwi Kid and CoreJJ still able to find some kinds of battles, and there's not a lot of sustain on the other side. So maybe they can whittle stuff down. Xiao doesn't want to stay to kill the pink ward. He will back himself right out of the jungle. A minor invade attempt to get some wards on the bottom jungle. We'll give them some tracking of Helios. They'll have to respect the Xin Zhao a little bit less. They know he's bot side. It gives room for Impact to fight if he wants to. You can see how much respect Gamsu has to give him. The big minion wave, you can't trade against that.
Yeah, I'm really curious as well how many times Impact has even used his phase dive this game, because it feels like he's just poking safely with his 3 auto attack speed boost and that Echo Q throwing out again and again, staying safe yet aggressive in the lane. I also need to point out the itemization choices he's forcing Gamsu into. He's gone Smite Teleport, but he needs to respect the aggression of the AP damage dealer, so he's had to go early No Magic Mantle. Probably just going to upgrade to Merc Treads right away and get home guards, but it's going to be so long until Gamsu has any type of armor itemization, which will be necessary if they ever get trapped in a siege situation against the Graves, Varus, and Rek'Sai. Yeah,
you talked about you like having an AP top laner, someone to make you respect the itemization choices, and so, yeah, Gamsu being squishy, if you dive into the back line and die right away, it doesn't mean too much. So definitely a risk for Gamsu. There's the phase dive use. He thinks he can win the trade here. Of course, they knew Xin Zhao's on the other side here. The W's prime, they will not get the stun though. Gamsu able to track away from that, but still winning trade after winning trade for Impact.
Yeah, and just looking at the itemization choices on Team Dignitas, Home Guard cooldown boots are ready onto Shifter. So the actual combat effectiveness, especially if Gamsu gets Merc Treads Home Guards, double Home Guards this early into the game, means their actual team fighting, if they get caught in a 5v5, is super weak. But Team Dignitas is just looking to pick fights where they have a numbers advantage. That's the only way they win.
Wow, Rush smites the Wolf to see Helios coming. He's not going to be in range of getting jumped on. TF will not be able to move either as his lane is pushed in, so Rush gets away safely. An aggressive counter jungle without tracking Helios properly, but is not punished, and he gets one of the big camps out.
Yeah, crazy aggressive to do a counter jungle like that against Twisted Fate and a Home Guard Hecarim.
Yeah.
Like that is almost naked aggression in some senses, but they know they have an advantage, and Rush is just trying to punish that as much as possible.
Fortunate enough that he wasn't caught out here. Blue buff attempt now going to go through and give the blue to Xiaowei. Xiao, this team now up 1,200 gold from the laning phase. This number keeps on growing as Impulse are just winning by outskilling their opponents, which was kind of the mantra we expected when we saw Impulse's lineup announced for spring 2015. It was like, yeah, look, we've got former world champions, we have the summer split MVP, we've got this up-and-coming bot lane who've actually improved really heavily since we last saw them, and what else could you expect with this hyped-up, individually skilled team? And Impulse kind of winning the way.
Xiao with...
they were hyped too.
Finally, Xiao-like farm as well. Nearly 100 CS at 10 minutes.
Yep.
He has been falling off lately. This split hasn't looked very impressive. But once again, Shifter granted him an advantage on a silver platter early on in the lane phase. Again, Xin Zhao gank, attempt number 2.
Oh, the dodge, though, doesn't get fear. The ult from Impact is enough to get away from Gamsu's fear. And another Helios gank will be turned away, doing nothing. Level 6 on this Xin Zhao. Just hit 7. Pushed away into the turret, but nothing else to be gained.
Yeah, Impact, really solid top lane echo play against the Hecarim, having to withstand a couple of ganks now from Helios. Rush we still haven't seen necessarily with the gank. Unrush-like, but again, just kind of playing the hand that was dealt to him in this matchup. Knowing that they have to be a little bit conservative because of the collapsing potential of the Twisted Fate and the teleporting Hecarim. But yeah, here we go. We know they just invested in a gank, so Impulse is just bullying their way in here. This is a collapse, though. This is a very real collapse.
Nice cleanse by Xiao to get away from the gold card, and it will just be a lost summoner spell. Shifter pops ulti. In comes Gamsu. They want Xiao. Another stun lands. The cards are there, and the first blood comes through to the top lane. Hecarim. Rush and Impact are around, but not really able to do much. Cubikid's already made his way up the map as well. It's a 2v1 bot lane. Shifter, though, Flash Ghost lands a stun in. Helios getting very low on health. Pulverize the nice flash away, keeps some safe. Rush with the knockup to buy a little bit more time. Gamsu is here. Tries to get a bit of a knockback, but Rush still able to retreat. Cubikid, of course, has the ulti on Alistar. Goes for Impact. Big stun's gonna land. Ignite is on, and Kiwikid just doesn't take any damage here. There's the finish dive. 2 more kills in, and Dignitas pick up 3 kills.
This is a resilient team, Dignitas. We keep seeing they make misplays in the early game, but then they wait and they're able to punish opponent misplays. We knew the only way Team Dignitas was winning a fight is if they had a numbers advantage. And lo and behold, Team Impulse makes a weak invade. 2 people without lane presence in the top lane, so they're asking to be collapsed upon. Kiwikid also makes the roam. Team Dignitas peaks up 3 kills, and suddenly they're back in contention in this match.
Man, the top lane matchup had started out pretty rough. You mentioned Gamsu having to sort of hurt his itemization, but 2 kills and assists picked up for him. He's now really scary in this top lane here. And the over-aggression, as you said, from Team Impulse getting punished pretty heavily. We're now still at a gold lead for Impulse thanks to the turret kill they got, thanks to all the zoning they got on the Corki, but power concentrated on the top laner of Dignitas.
And we kind of saw the beginning of some over-aggression from Rush earlier on in the match when he counter-jungled the Wolves earlier without sight of pretty much anyone. He's like, okay, I guess I can get away with this. Tries to reach into the cookie jar once again. This time his hand gets slapped away. 3 kills for Team Dignitas. And now Rush has to be legitimately careful about where he tracks.
Well, as far as body part metaphors, getting a hand slapped is maybe a light punishment for 3 kills, but either way, Impact again being camped up by Helios. Still in the brush up there, and of course the lane is going to be frozen in front of Gamsu's turret as well, so there is very little the former world champion can do in this top lane, except get killed if he tries to push on in. But of course, the rest of Impulse happy to rotate around to the mid lane. But they give enough respect to Shifter to not push for the turret.
Yeah, and now we need to continue to think about the team fight and the sieging opportunities. So Team Impulse actually does want to just group up in the mid lane, continue to poke down with Xiao, eventually chip down that turret, because Shifter doesn't actually have the ability power, I don't think, to clear the waves with the one shot yet from his wildcards. So Impulse needs to control this, because still, in a 5v5 team fight, Infinity Edge onto Apollo, Man Immunity onto Xiao, they have the potential power spike to make a big play, but they run the risk of a numbers advantage. Team Dignitas wants the numbers advantage. They have Twisted Fate to collapse in. They actually have a teleport advantage here as well, and could very well try and contest this if they decide to go for it. It's getting low pretty fast, though. Yeah,
Impulse respect to the TP disadvantage have pulled their top laner to walk down the map. He's at mid by the time Dragon goes down, and there was no engage coming in from Team Dignitas, unwilling to dive into that. And Impulse still sitting on a 600 gold lead, get the first Dragon of the game.
Yeah, the numbers advantage wasn't guaranteed because of that roam down from Impact. He would have been able to match by the time Gamsu goes down there, and instead it's just actually a turret for Dragon trade, which Team Dignitas is more than happy to take. Equalizing the turrets at first Dragon is actually not that important in the overall scheme of things.
Absolutely, so Dignitas making the right choice to realize, you know what, we don't need to contest Dragon. Impact has to run down, so if he does, top lane turret gets killed. That in fact does happen, and Gamsu makes the gold back to tied here. Dignitas finally equalizing turret scores. But the 3 kills to 0 only just breaks even with all the farm that TIP has been getting. So the scoreboard up there slightly lies to you in terms of the power of all the champions on the map.
Yeah. And I do kind of want to touch on the first Dragon. It is actually a very sometimes good indicator of winning, but overall, the percentage wins from first Dragon actually aren't that high. And the power only kicks in later. So as long as Team Dignitas can get a Dragon later, they'd be okay. Nice ultimate, though.
Max range lands, even the Javelin. Everything hits the Howling Gale, the piercing arrow. Down goes Helios. I didn't think he was going to die there, but he certainly did.
Yeah, that was just Xiao getting a little aggressive, and some poor communication overall by Team Dignitas. If they didn't have the members to defend that turret, then Helios should not have been standing there when it fell.
No, unfortunate misstep for the new Dignitas jungler. And this time around, actually, the rest of Team Impulse are here. Top lane, Gamsu's not used to this. In goes Impact, can't quite land the slow. Fresh shows himself for not much, and Apollo does recall, so sitting in the brush, not revealing where he was on the map. It looks like these teams will be able to reset and restructure themselves around the map.
Yeah, both junglers going with Sightstone as well, so there should be a lot of vision to go around. Vision is at a pretty big priority this match, since Team Dignitas is completely about the pick-focused gameplay. That's all of their hard CC initially going in, and then the attempt to just wave clear and stall with the Twisted Fate and the Corki. So a lot of stalling opportunities for Team Dignitas, but mainly it's going to be out vision control, numbers advantages, and picks.
All right, vision control, numbers advantages, and picks. Let's look at the wards then right now. Looking over, there are literally 0 deep wards for Team Dignitas.
Not that many.
Not really any for Impulse either. There's a couple that like barely scratch past the river, but nothing to really track movement. So any dive you go for, any gank, you don't know if it's getting counter-ganked or not in most situations.
Which is really surprising when you have double Sightstone. But yeah, neither team has been able to create the threat necessary to actually go in and get deep wards. It normally takes one team becoming aggressive in order to sneak in the other side, but instead just a strong 4-man rotation by Impulse to take a turret.
Nicely done by them.
See how this we have to see how this is matched now.
Well, right now it's matched by 2 guys, wave clearing the top lane. Hecarim and Helios may be making their way towards mid as Shifter will not be answered, and they will be able to knock down the mid lane, it looks like. It is an early Lichbane for Shifter as well, by the way. His second item picked up. A lot of damage on this turret. They're getting collapsed on by Impulse, but I don't think it'll be in time. It's close. If they stay for this, they might just barely get hit.
This could be a team fight. Echo's coming around the flank as well.
Ulti comes in from Hecarim. Ulti down. A lot of damage in on everybody. Damage going back and forth. A lot of CC. Helios very low on health. And wow, the flashes just keep him safe. The dive back in. They do pick up Kiwi Kid. Dignitas loses a member.
Oh.
Chain of Corruption finally ends with 1 kill in the team fight. Team Impulse still in control. Correct myself, Gamsu does have Onslaught of Shadows and Teleport up, and wards to TP2 on the flank. The squishy lineup could potentially get jumped on.
There's a chance the fight's not over yet because all ultimates were burned on Team Impulse, but it would take a very aggressive call by Team Dignitas to go back.
Impact's really low. He got hit by the turret.
That's a far ways away. Let's check out the new home guard Hecarim.
Who's gonna go for it? Goes in.
Whoa.
Impact gets a shield. In comes Shifter. The Rocket gets one. Gamsu gets a second. He gets a third. And now Adrian and Xiaowei Xiao on the run. They're dodging what damage they can. Oh, a ton of damage comes through. And Shifter picks up the 4th kill of the refight.
Wow, the re-engage, and that's exactly what Team Dignitas was looking for when they go double home guard boots with a teleport, Hecarim, and a Twisted Fate. It's the re-engage and it's the numbers advantages. Right there, the numbers advantage was all in the health bars because Team Impulse overstayed to take the 2nd turret. They didn't respect Team Dignitas' bounce back ability in this fight since the deaths didn't actually fall down to them, and what a collapse that was. Fearlessness from Gamsu to go back in, and Shifter clearing up the scraps.
And how rich is Gamsu now? 4-0-3, still 100% of kill participation. And this is just all kinds of wonderful.
7,300 gold rich, Freak. And yeah, Gamsu Hecarim ulted to the whole team. And because everyone was dying, he's barely able to stay alive. Flash red card because Shifter was trying to take 2 with that one. Ends up being able to pull another card to finish off Xiaowei Xiao. So just the support that gets away. But mainly that was just the way the Hecarim Twisted Fate is supposed to work. If they can disengage the team fights, let the other team overextend, then go in for kills. Adrian, that's another one. The lack of deep wards in this game is creating these opportunities as well.
Well, impressive stuff by Team Dignitas to get themselves back into this one. Impulse, true to the name. Over-aggression, not necessarily enough vision, not respecting their opponents, getting punished for it. Team Dignitas all about being resilient. They take their early game deficits again and again, but they find the cracks in the opponent's armor, the mistakes their opponents make, and they capitalize so cleanly. Dignitas, the 3rd place team in the LCS right now, looking to take down the 3rd place team from last season's summer split.
Yep.
Good so far.
Yeah, looking at this Dragon, this is what Team Dignitas is hoping to bounce back with. Impact has his teleport up in the top lane. I still feel like Team Impulse could hold an edge in a 5v5, but they're waiting a long time to go for that Dragon.
Rush is not in range for the smite, goes over to Helios, but here comes the dive from Gamsu, who's massive. They pick up Adrian Impulse, limping out of too few members, keeping the flash stun. They knock in Xiaowei Xiao, another kill picked up. The Alistair dies as Impact joins the fray. Some damage from Apollo, but Core JJ is on the hunt. Gets a bit of damage, in back goes Impact. He shuts down one, he nearly gets Helios, and they do. 2 more kills on the return. These fights keep going back and forth.
Echo turned back time and changed the tides of that fight. He was so late to the battle as well, which really hurt Team Impulse. First off, I don't know what Adrian was doing going down for that Dragon. It looked like a lack of team coordination from Team Impulse. Team Dignitas doing great to get this Dragon. I mean, Adrian down with Rush, but the rest of his carries that the Janna is supposed to be standing beside are way back. They ended up getting flanked by Alistair, and it looks like a fantastic fight for Team Dignitas, but they did underestimate the power of Echo, and specifically they wanted to chase onto the turret. Look at the clone. Watch the gold clone right here.
Bam.
Boom. Double hit into a double slow, and then able to jump back to the rest of his team. So some overall misplays there by Team Impulse, an overchase by Team Dignitas, and a nice play by Impact at the end. He should have just been there sooner, though.
Well, speaking of overchases, Kiwi Kid not somewhere he needs to be, and another kill goes over to Impact. 2-2-2, finally scaling up on this Echo and saving the mid game for Impulse here.
We might be in for a bit of a crazy game.
Yeah, it's been crazy so far.
Yeah, first 10 minutes go without a kill. The last 12 minutes give us 16 of them. So on that pace, we're going to have about 50 kills in the next 10 minutes.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. Sure. It's like an exponential function?
Yep.
Okay. Then yeah, I'm going to go 50 kills in 10 minutes.
I don't think that's...
Your math backs up, chat. Full fighting rewards and everything. It's a day of math.
This is the second time that Impulse has been able to rotate a large force into the top lane. But again, they're kind of punished a little bit by giving up a turret down bottom. The main thing that Team Impulse should hope to gain from this is to get vision control around the Baron buff and force a 5v5 fight. Shifter is Twisted Fate. So instead of face checking, they just need to pop the Twisted Fate ultimate and find Team Impulse. Hey!
Well, not going to happen here. A lot of Shia LaBeouf impersonators in the audience yelling to do it. And Team Impulse
do it!
Will not make their dreams come true just yet here. 23 minutes in. More wave clear for the rest of these guys, and everyone's going to feel safe for a little while longer. Shifter missing his ult is going to give a bit of breathing room for Impulse. It's impressive how few open air picks have come through for Dignitas. right? With a bunch of teleports and home guards and Destiny and whatnot, you expect, like, when there's 8 dead turrets, like, someone just dies randomly to TF. And Impulse have managed to stay together rather cleanly. They may overstay team fight-wise, but, like, as far as getting picked off, that's not happening really at all.
Yeah. Team Impulse has been grouping very well to avoid the Twisted Fate. A lot of that also has to do with Xiao consistently shoving in the mid lane, so Shifter's almost always in vision.
True.
So they know when the Twisted Fate is missing. But the kills have continued to fall through for Team Dignitas. It's kind of crazy, you know, 10 kills to 6, but then you look at the CS advantage in the mid lane, the 2-turret lead, still 1,000 gold lead for Team Impulse, and that's taking into account the extra gold that Twisted Fate gets from his passive. So a slightly larger lead than shows on paper.
Yeah, true. Either way, we sit at a 1,500 gold game. Certainly a very close one for a 24-minute match so far. Impulse once again grouping themselves towards the top side of the map. Baron is, of course, up, which helped pull them over. Looks like a blue buff steal is in the works.
Yep.
And that'll go through to Xiao.
Notice again, 5-man group for Team Impulse. So Team Dignitas needs to set up a little bit of split push pressure if they really want to create these pick opportunities, but they do have to respect basically the only initiation that Team Impulse would have here is if Xiao lands a nice chain of corruption. It's one thing that could open up a window for Team Dignitas' split push is the fact that their disengage can actually be quite strong.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit tricky for Impulse to get the right fights.
And with TF scaling up the wave clear, like, sieging is not even the easiest tool either, and waiting 24 minutes for 4 more dragons seems like a pretty arduous process. So, yeah, playmaking, as you're saying, going to be difficult for Impulse.
5 dragons not a very realistic win condition in this game because it's taken so long for the dragons to start going down. Baron itself is a dangerous place to bait in this match since the gold is close. Baron makes you low. Also the fact that the team that is leading is not the team with the best vision controlling abilities. Scrying Orb and Twisted Fate very good at checking Baron baits and preventing a big check. I would say that the most likely outcome of this game, as far as who gets the advantage when, would be from flanking opportunities. The deep wards in this game have been fairly lacking because the collapsibility of Team Dignitas is so great, so it's dangerous to go in and get flanks. So either someone gets picked off while trying to ward, or someone gets flanked in a team fight and you see someone, a priority target going down right away, and that then transitions into objectives.
All right, we'll see who that's going to be then to make those flanks and those picks happen. Is it Gamsu, is it Shifter, or is it maybe even Impact on this top lane Echo? Right now the kills have been going back and forth. The sieging a little bit better from Impulse. They are up 2 turrets still in this game, but with only 1,000 gold lead, you're seeing the gold just trade back and forth through the various objectives here. Top lane pushed in by Gamsu. Impact can only mostly sit and watch. He's now actually losing in this matchup, this head-to-head top lane battle. The TP disadvantage is a part of it. The earlier kills by Gamsu was great. And now into Impact a little bit on the back foot. It seems Merc Tread was enough to keep Gamsu happy in the matchup. You mentioned buying armor. His Frozen Heart is here. Dragon is up, and Dignitas have all roamed themselves down, and they are here first.
So I felt like Team Dignitas was going to try and play a split push game here with Hecarim top lane threatening to teleport into a dragon fight, because straight up in a 5v5 if Team Impulse plays a fight perfectly, I feel like they win. But later in the game without a tank line, maybe that ends up changing. That might be what Team Dignitas is banking on right here, because grouping up like this at the dragon, it looks like Dignitas wants to fight. Gamsu teleporting in with home guard. Flank time.
On the flank, TF's there as well. They're going to look right for Impact. The flash in. Adrian's going to get huge up and destroyed. A bounce house for Team Dignitas. Apollo drops. 3 kills picked up so far. Rush locked up as well. Impact can only run alongside Xiao. Dignitas go 3-0 and get Dragon.
The lack of the front line crushes Team Impulse right there. All the squishy targets in a small little ball. The aggression of Team Dignitas flashing in from Shifter, teleporting in from Hecarim, create a picturesque team fight for them. The flank comes in, they crush the squishies, and now they can take Baron.
Well, props to Team Dignitas for the pre-placed wards to get the Hecarim flank on, and Team Impulse just unable to do anything for this. Impact's going to TP back to mid lane to try to pressure the Baron attempt here. Damage is coming through, but Dignitas have multiple tank. That's not really very scary.
Yeah, the poke from Varus can be pretty substantial if Impact wants to flash in. This is getting a little dicey.
Gamsu's very low. Varus gonna have his Q back in a second. Impact goes in. Oh, he's not gonna get the smite, but he will look for Core JJ. The kill's not gonna happen just yet. Healer's doing plenty of damage back to him, forcing the flash away. Impact guesses the wrong direction.
Oh, no one wants to walk close because they're afraid of getting one shot by Shifter.
Well, speaking of getting one shot, Xiao takes him out from 30%, and Impact is on the chase. I feel like he's fast enough thanks to the Talisman of Ascension from the Janna. Q comes out. That will be the kill picked up. And Impact gets the kill. So again, Impulse getting some kills on the backside. Well, get a little bit of control for themselves.
We still got ourselves a wacky game right here. It looks like the team fight, if initiated properly, like we thought, Team Dignitas picked off a priority target in that last Dragon team fight, and it snowballed into an objective. But typical Team Impulse style, they're able to make something back out of it when they collapse down onto the Baron pit. Mainly Xiao and Impact poking down. So, watching the Dragon fight once again. Flashing straight into the stun, into the Hecarim ultimate, into the Alistar combo. What else knocked them up there? No, everything basically just landed perfectly for Team Dignitas in that fight. Killing 3 members perfectly.
Yep, TF Hecarim, Alistar, plenty of CC.
Yeah, and it's a lack of zone control for Team Impulse right now. It comes with the team composition, no actual front line. But I don't even know if the front line would matter when you're teleporting next to someone and then also Hecarim ulting in.
Yeah.
So it really is just on Team Impulse to spread and allow Janna to try and pull off that peel. Grouping up like that is pretty much the worst thing they can do because they allow Team Dignitas to combo all their CC. Finally, a side lane pick.
Wow. Yeah.
That's the split push opportunity. Good job.
Yeah, Shifter showed up at the top lane. The wrong person was defending against Hecarim. AD carry should know you can never 1v on a top laner. They're always too big for you, and they can ignore your turrets. Apollo, unfortunately, the one forced to defend that, dies for it. Top lane tier 2 goes down. Dignitas about to tie up the turret scores. They're now 4-5, and they've still got map control and a 2,000 gold lead.
And they still have Baron, too.
Yeah. 2
people died, but the people that were alive were able to give the Baron empowering minions right now. Team Dignitas has played some really solid team fights.
Absolutely agreed.
And Team Impulse have definitely not. Again, a desynced initiation there. Xiao trying to create the initiation opportunity. One of the only ways Team Impulse can start fights, and it's now gone for another 80 seconds.
Yeah, it feels like there's just no options left for Impulse. I think because Gamsu is still 6-0-8, 100% participation. It started out with like, okay, look, it's a bunch of physical damage dealers and Impact to keep you honest. If they set up around Dragon, well, TP flanks can exist. If they set up around a turret, TP flanks can exist. They needed Impact to keep Gamsu honest, to keep him from getting these easy flanks, to keep him off the lineup.
Yeah.
And that's just simply not happened with how far ahead Gamsu has gotten off the really good, 12-minute in team fight where it went 2-0-1.
Yeah. I mean, this is the resiliency of Team Dignitas. They were down 2,000 or 3,000 gold in the early game. They even lose fights here and there, but they understand the way they have to fight to win this game. They know that Team Impulse has a lot of damage, so they're shutting down the damage immediately. They're knowing how to cut through Team Impulse's peel in team fights, and it's something that North American teams have failed to do frequently this year, especially with Hecarim. Before an objective fight, put your Hecarim in base. Yep. Because he's going to teleport in and create a large impact, and Team Dignitas has found the timings to do that this match, and they're comboing it with Twisted Fate, who now, by the way, with Death Cap, can basically take Apollo or Xiao out of the game.
So ironic indeed, Dignitas have more impact than Team Impulse here. Gamsu showing up well in the top lane, and everything in place here. Thing is, it is a 2,000 gold lead only. As much as we're talking about how Dignitas is playing this game properly and all the things in the right place for them, comebacks can of course always happen, just doesn't seem to be going this way. The momentum certainly Dignitas' favor. Bot lane being split pushed by the Hecarim, the rest of the team milling around the jungle in the mid lane, looking for maybe turret number 5. It'll be in the mid or bot lane if that happens.
And really, the flank potential is very real. And so much of it just has to do with the burst damage that comes in from Gamsu and Shifter. That's able to delete.
And they're always able to reach.
Yep, and they're always able to reach either Apollo or Xiao. Looks like Team Dignitas is just waiting on Dragon number 3, maybe even the next Baron after that one.
Yeah.
Because it still is a very close game, and diving in has to be done with tremendous precision if it is to be successful.
Right. Keep in mind, Impulse have really good wave clear through Echo, Varus, Graves, and even Janna can shield the turret and do stuff. So The Siege just not a core strength of Dignitas. If they get some free time on a turret, they go down fast, but Impulse have largely been rotating well. They're showing up to the objectives, they just don't win the fights after.
Yeah. Very true. A little bit out of sync for Team Impulse, but Team Dignitas specializing on punishing people who are a little bit out of sync. Resulted in 14 nice kills. And this time, Dragon is not going to be contested.
Dragon number 3 going to go over to Team Dignitas. They are taking it slow and methodical. Seems very standard for this lineup here. Helios joins. It's much less about the early game pressure and much more about how they're able to strategically play the game. And honestly, done a pretty good job of playing these games smartly.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think. After Team Dignitas was in relegation's last split, if they can pull out this victory, they move themselves to 5-2. With wins over Cloud9, TSM, and would-be Impulse as well. So it would be almost a complete turnaround for a team that felt very hapless at times during the spring split.
It was the only NA team to survive relegations. Winterfox and Coast both went down.
True.
This is the only team that got the second chance to stay in the LCS, and they're making really good on that so far. Gamsu to keep the ward control up. Of course, Baron's up in 35 seconds, so top lane, or top side jungle, the place you want vision. Impulse with some defensive pinks doing what they can to clear that vision away, but the red team can't take any fights. They're just...
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Team Impulse kind of needed to snowball this game because they have a bunch of squishy damage dealers, their ability to check when they lose vision control is low, and their actual ability to smartly start a team fight is incredibly limited. They need Impact to get a great flank or Xiao Xiao to hit a beautiful chain of corruption, which himself would be putting himself in threat range. Not to mention, they have almost no way of checking this Baron safely outside of a scrying orb, and Team Dignitas has all the tools to create a fight if Team Impulse pushes too far. They're daring Impact to teleport in and hoping for a fight. Team Dignitas, an aggressive Baron call.
Well, Impact's gonna go for the teleport, but it'll come in after the Baron already dies. Oh! Rush gets the steal with Flash! Here comes the fight! Maybe this is the battle that Impulse needed! One kill traded back and forth. Rek'Sai is dead, so is Xin Zhao. Core JJ forced to run away. Kiwi Kid very squishy, and they will drop down Impact. Apollo in the pit has to flash back away. Impulse running out, losing one kill, but getting Baron.
We're on our way to a really long game because Team Dignitas' opportunity to gain an edge was foiled there when Rush flashed in to steal the Baron. You could see the idea of Team Dignitas. All we're going to do is headbutt the Rek'Sai out when he tries to tunnel in. Kiwi Kid had the right idea, but then he has another way in. Rush has his flash. He lands the 50-50 smite. There's no Kalista or Nunu for smiting on this team. Nice headbutt out, but then he just flashed right back in to get it. Huge gold bonus for Team Impulse, and it also created a poor flanking opportunity for Team Dignitas in this team fight. When Team Dignitas has won these fights, it's because they are TF ulting in on a priority target and allowing Hecarim to ult in on a group. This time Gamsu ults in on one person, Shifter is not able to teleport into a priority target, and Team Impulse walks away with the Baron. All things that are going to extend this match, Freak.
Yeah, you can see just how strong double marksman can be when they're not contested by a Hecarim who's busy hitting a sort of tanky-ish top laner here. And that's the kind of situation Impulse needs, is can they distract Gamsu? Can they survive against Shifter? You've got a Quicksilver Sash on the Graves. You've got a Mikhail's Crucible, on Janna. So, like, getting away from TF is certainly possible. Even the Aegis is here as well, so Magicus is coming in to survive Twisted Fate.
Yeah.
It is, I think Gamsu has to be involved as well. You need the two-man dive for a backliner to die here, so if Dignitas cannot get that coordinated push, it's just not going to happen. And with Baron buff, Impulse can feel pretty safe. Gamsu's TPing though.
No home guard this time, but still a flank.
Oh, they bought just enough time to stop. Kiwi Kid Xiao the instant cleanse. Out he goes. Kiwi Kid locks up Apollo. In comes Hecarim, and he's trying to survive, and Graves will get shut down by Helios. Impact still in the mix, but has to run away. A 1-for-0 in Dignitas' favor.
You can see how desperate Team Impulse is to disengage this, and they did it about as well as they could, but Team Dignitas still walk away with the kill. Man, that's a dangerous looking dive there for Team Dignitas. Also not having the Baron to follow up, so even though it was an impressive show of cooldowns right there, that's pretty much all it is. It just puts their spells on cooldown and they get a slight death timer onto Apollo. Nothing can be done objective-wise after that fight.
No, you just get rid of one of the Baron buffs, but it's one of the multiple that are here for Team Impulse either way. Only 20 seconds left in the buff regardless, so that won't even be in for the Dragon that respawns in a minute and a half. You can see now both these teams are able to win fights. It just depends on the situation these fights are in.
Yeah.
Dignitas stuck in a Baron pit. Okay, Impulse can do well. Impulse sits themselves in a group. Easy flank for Dig.
Yeah, and aside from that Baron steal, it's actually been Team Dignitas winning the fights again and again and again. And again, low cooldown on that Twisted Fate ult. This time, they're going to get at least one.
And Adrian is immediately dropped down. Gamsu is legendary still. 100% kill participation. 0 deaths on this Hecarim. Gamsu really showing up.
You just can't be split up like that against this team. Shifter will punish you again and again with Twisted Fate. Gamsu will combo, and now they get to chunk down these turrets. Janna is gone. Let's see if they can do any work here. Without Baron minions, it's going to be hard to get a minion wave into a turret. They do have Alistair, though, for a potential dive. Whoa!
They've also got Gamsu and Xiaowei. Xiao goes down. Apollo's trying to run, but he can't run fast enough. We've got impact around. Dignitas are inside the base, but they're going to kill off Rush. It's 4 dead members of TIP, and what else can they even do right now? Kiwi can happily take it the turret. Going in for the inhibitor as well. What a good fight for Dignitas.
Full applause deserved for Team Dignitas right there. They took the game into their own hands to end it this time. Beautiful tanking by Kiwi Kid. Split-second decision-making after the pick to go for the game, and they get it.
And here we go, 5-2 Team Dignitas. Right now in sole control of third place. Gamsu, the easy MVP of this game, 11-0-10 on Hecarim, crushing the massive backline of Team Impulse.
Yeah.
What a good game for Dignitas fans.
Just brilliant execution in the majority of the Team Dignitas fights right there. Twisted Fate, Hecarim, and the Xin Zhao coming in from Helios. So much CC could be layered on. Very strong tank lines, and also the precision to take out the damage dealers so that the tanks can then sit in the fight. That is a feel-good win for Team Dignitas because their previous road to 4-2 had been pretty sloppy games. Teams making many mistakes against them. And while this game wasn't flawless, it's a marked improvement for Team Dignitas. The execution they showed in these team fights was impressive, and it's starting to reflect that of a top-tier North American team.
Yeah, I actually want to call back to their win over Team Solo Mid last week in Saturday, because the discussion was, did Team Dignitas get lucky? Right? Do they deserve to contend with all these teams? And, you know, they were losing their early lanes. They were generally just slowly losing the game, but a couple of really good points took the win over Team Solo Mid. And we said maybe...
Who just got the Team Impulse sweater?
Right Core
there.
JJ got...
Core JJ, trading jackets.
They were talking about it, actually, in the pregame chat. I forget who all was talking, but there's multiple, actually.
Yeah.
She's got one, too. Yeah, but I want to talk about...
Xiao's jacket.
Well, you deserve it. You win, you get the jacket. It's how Pon and Dada did it, right? So
yeah.
More champion jackets here. Xiao
didn't even get a Dignitas one.
No, I mean, did he deserve it?
What a raw deal.
So Dignitas. Resilience seems to be the name of the game for these guys. Multiple times we're seeing them lose early game. I'd actually be curious to see